guys, it's Margie, and today I'm doing a movie review of the 2012 film Lincoln. Oh boy, okay, well, I know that most of you probably already know the main characters in this film, but if you don't, you're fixing to hear me ramble off a long list. I'm going to do it as quickly as possible. Yes, there are quite a few people here because there was a lot of characters in this movie, and I don't want to leave anybody out because I think if you do good work, you should get credit for it. I do have a list because I can't remember everybody, and I do not want to leave anybody out. There's not too many really hard to pronounce names in here, but the ones that are, forgive me, as I always say. Alright, Daniel Day-Lewis, Tommy, they're in no order, by the way, none. Like, I'm just reading them. Daniel Day-Lewis, Tommy Lee Jones, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Sally Field, S. Epitha Anderson, James Spader, David Straithairn, Julie White, Gloria Reuben, Peter McCrobbie, Stephen Henderson, Walter Goggins, David Costabile, John Hawkes, Jackie Earle Haley, Bruce McGill, Tim Blake Nelson, Lee Pace, Joseph Cross, Jared Harris, and Gulliver McGrath. See, not that bad, only about 25, which is really, really large for a cast, and it was kind of funny because, like, a lot of the more known people played more subtle characters, and they had so many unknowns, or at least people I have never heard of, so that was great, absolutely great exposure for them. This film was directed by Mr. Steven Spielberg, and it had a screenplay by Tony Kushner. Music was by the one and only John Williams, produced by Steven Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy. Cinematography, I'm going to butcher this, by Janusz Kaminski. Production design, Rick Carter, and edited by Michael Kahn. Okay, guys, so the basic plot for this movie is, there's really not one, it's just Steven Spielberg is telling the story of the last, few months, mainly the last few months, years of Lincoln's life, and he's basically going through the entire process of Lincoln trying to pass the 13th Amendment, which was obviously to end slavery. Before I do dive into performances with this one, guys, I do want to say that this is probably going to be one of the longer reviews that I've made. Hey, it's a Spielberg, it's an Oscar nominee, I mean, it's massive, okay, but it's not going to be ridiculously long. I mean, there's certainly more things I could talk about than I actually am going to talk about. So, let's dive right into this. Daniel Day-Lewis obviously played Lincoln, and unless you've had your head in the sand for about the past year to do with anything movies, you know who, at least you've heard of Daniel Day-Lewis's name, you know he played Lincoln, and you know that he also was nominated for and won the Best Actor Oscar for this year. So, what are you going to say? First of all, he's Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, hello. But I thought his performance was great. I really did. Before I go any further into this review, let me just say I had pretty high expectations for this movie. It was nominated for Best Picture. I've heard all the hype. It's a Spielberg, yada yada yada. And I only saw it a little while ago, so obviously all the Oscars were over and done with unfortunately, before I got a chance to see this one. But I knew that Daniel Day-Lewis, first of all, we all knew that Daniel Day-Lewis would win, but I think we all knew that he deserved it. And I'm saying that based on everything I've seen, I've literally probably seen a third of the movie before I actually saw the movie, in clips, trailers, interviews, like everything. I've literally seen everything I can get my hands on and seen like chunks of the movie, like it's ridiculous. And based on all of that, I thought he would be deserving of it. And I mean, if you've seen My Left Foot, which I have not unfortunately seen all of it, but the parts I've seen, whoop, Daniel Day-Lewis. Same thing with There Will Be Blood. That is a movie I am dying to get my hands on. Unfortunately, I've not been able to yet, but clips, trailers, etc. that I have seen, he is ridiculous. He won Best Actor Oscars for both of those films, and his third win of an Oscar this year makes him the only actor to ever have won 3 Oscars for Best Actor. Enough about the Oscars, though. Let's just dive into this performance. I thought it was great. I thought it was great. Can I just say, though, Daniel Day, if you have spent 2 to 3 years prepping for this role, it better be good. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, and I'm not taking anything away from him, so back off, Daniel Day-Lewis fan. I felt like, you know, he almost couldn't fail in this. I mean, of course he could have. It could have been a massive bomb, but you've got Spielberg directing you, who's not going to let you sink. I mean, let's be honest, okay? The cast around you is just constantly elevating you. I mean, he read hundreds and hundreds of books about Lincoln. His accents in every film that I've seen him in are 10 out of 10. They're ridiculous. Which, by the way, I made a special note. His accent for Lincoln, dude, no lie. And his American accent I thought was great, especially after having heard him talk normally. But anyway, I thought it was good. I thought he did a good job in showing the weariness of Lincoln. However, I felt like he might have gone a little overboard with that, just because, I don't know. I mean, I know Lincoln was, like, you know, stressed out beyond measure, had been through grief, was melancholy and etc., but I would have liked to have seen him be just a teens more lighter in the lighter moments of the film. Plus, just as, like, a general viewer of the film, there's not a whole lot of light moments in this film. There are some, but not a whole lot. So, yeah, I would have kind of liked to see him do a little more with that. Who knows, though? Steven was probably like, I don't want that. And, you know, it didn't detract anything. Daniel Day-Lewis earned his Oscar amazingly. It was great. It was so good. All right. I'm going down the list here, so again, in no particular order. Alright, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, really good. Really solid. He was good. He was. Didn't have much screen time, but what he had was great. Sally Field, good. I thought she was good. I'm not going to really go into her whole Oscar thing because I haven't seen Les Mis. First of all, we all knew Anne Hathaway was going to get it, I'm pretty sure, but I haven't seen Les Mis, so I can't compare performances and all that. I thought it was worth a nomination for her, though. I thought she did a really great job. I did. And I thought she did such a good job in portraying the ups and downs of Mary, that she's like, she loves him one minute, she's like, never go away, yada, 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 and then the next minute she's like, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to, like, hate you forever. You know, and a huge lot of that was the writing, which I'm going to get to in just a minute, that helped just, oh, it was like a big Christmas present with a big bow on the top. It was so fantastic. James Spader, good job. Good job. Everybody knows who James Spader is, I'm pretty sure. David Straithairn. Sorry, I'm butchering that. Really good. Really good. It could have been just a teens better, but hello, it's Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, of course you're not going to look as good as you probably are sitting next to Daniel Day-Lewis, and I think that's probably why he didn't get a Best Supporting Actor nomination, is because he was a little overshadowed by Daniel Day-Lewis, but he was great. He was really good. Alright, going down the list here, everybody else that I mentioned, y'all, and there's so many, including people like Hal Holbrook, John Hawkes, you know, I mean, who was not in this movie? Great. Really, really great job out of all of them. And I saved this guy out for last, Mr. Tommy Lee Jones. Such a good performance. Oh my word, it was so... Did you not think it was great? Let me know in the comments. First of all, I am pretty huge Tommy Lee Jones fan. I mean, pretty huge. I love Tommy Lee Jones. So I was really looking forward to seeing this movie. I was looking forward to seeing it when I heard it was coming out, like, you know, a year ago. And then when he got nominated for the Oscar, I was so excited. Of course, he didn't win. I'm not commenting on that. But anyway, you know, I thought that it was, God, thought he did so good. His lines, plus, can we not be honest and say that he had some of the best dialogue in the film, y'all? He had such great lines. Oh my gosh. I laughed. I did a previous review where I was talking about, some jokes you have to stop the movie to laugh. I actually had to stop the movie to laugh with several of Tommy Lee's. His delivery is ridiculous. The writing for him, 10 out of 10. I mean, I thought he was great. Couldn't have been any better for me. Alright, moving on to directing. We might as well just skip this category because all I can say is epic, epic, epic. Steven Spielberg totally deserved that nomination for, best director. And again, I'm not going to comment on whether or not he should have won because I haven't seen a lot of the films that were nominated for Oscars this year, guys. I'm just going to be honest, and I planned to see a lot of them, but I didn't get around to it, so I can't compare him with anybody. But I thought he did a really good job. What can you say? I mean, I really loved, too, though, that there was, like, certain scenes, and I don't know if this was cinematography or probably more directing, but there were so many scenes, well, there was, like, 3 or 4 scenes, especially around the beginning, where, the opening scene with Lincoln is, like, the camera is coming from behind him, and you don't see his face. You don't technically, you don't know for sure who it is, but you know. And it's coming from behind him, and it's like it rotates around, or it flashes around to Daniel Day-Lewis. I loved that. Absolutely loved that. Loved how he introduced Tommy Lee Jones. Absolutely loved it because, look, you've got all these people sitting around that are, like, talking kind of at a camera. They're not looking into the camera, but, like, here's the camera, and here's where they're looking over here. And they're all, like, directing all this, like, heated stuff. And you don't know who they're talking to. You're like, who are they talking to? And I love that. I thought that was so amazing. What did you guys think? I don't know. I love that. Transitions. I don't know who to give credit for on this, whether it's editing or, whatever you want to call it. It's probably Steven, but I don't want to just, I want to give credit where credit's due. So whoever was responsible for a lot of the transitions in the film were really, really lovely. I mean, y'all, the imagery in this film is just so beautiful. The camera angles, gorgeous, gorgeous. The frames, like, right where, especially the ones that were, like, closer up, right where they, like, cut off and right where they hit, it's just like, God, it's so perfect. I mean, it's just, oh, God. I can't even talk. So good. That was such a beautiful thing to witness. And I'm going to kind of get back into a little bit of that later in the review, but I'm rambling. So, moving on to the screenplay by Tony Kushner. Ooh. I think we've all heard the story of the how this came about, which is that there was a book that was written, and Steven was like, hey, he asked the lady author, he was like, hey, I want to, make your some of your book into a film about Lincoln, and of course she said yes. And anyway, Tony adapts this book. He gets a 550-page screenplay. He sends it to Steven, and I think most of us that have seen the film have seen that picture of Steven sitting in his backyard with that huge binder and these massive, it's like this thick, of pages of the screenplay that Tony Kushner wrote. First of all, amazing that you can write that big of a screenplay. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But anyway, they cut all that down, and I actually had the privilege of getting my hands onto the screenplay for this movie. And I mean, like, the screenplay, like, obviously not the copy, but, like, the what was used, for the film. It wasn't just, like, the first draft or something like that. Whoa. It was a novel, y'all. It was ridiculously epic. I mean, I read this way before I even, like, I don't know. I don't even know where I found it, but I read it, like, way before I watched the movie. Way. I read it before the Oscar, winners even came out. I mean, I read it a long time before I watched the movie, and oh god, beautiful, beautiful writing. I mean, just gorgeous. Like, okay, the opening scenes are like battlefields and stuff like that. Everything is described down to a T. It's like and I can't even speak like this, and I can't remember how exactly what the terminology, but he's like, just like an example is like, the clouds are gray, and there's, I mean, the basic idea that he's saying, and what a lot of screenwriters say, is the ground is bloody, there's soldiers everywhere, gray atmosphere, sadness, like that, and then the director just goes from there, right? No. Tony Kushner, it was literally like a novel. It was like this beautiful, and like everything was so described, like I can see it. Like, it was ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Such a good screenplay. Ooh, mercy. I mean, and I didn't get to read all of it, but I read a good bit of it, and I was like, holy cow, this is epic. Alright, moving on from that. So, needless to say, the writing was huge. Great job by Tony Kushner, again, for giving the actors great material to work with. I think the reason why a lot of people hate on some people's performances is because their roles and their dialogue aren't that good. And I'm like, guys, the actors can't go anywhere with nothing, okay? And I'm not saying that, obviously there's people that are given, like, gold and they completely ruin it with their performances. I'm not saying that, but, I mean, bravo to Tony Kushner for just giving the actors just gold. I mean, just gold. Like Tommy Lee, his lines were crazy good. I loved all his lines. I thought they were great. The stories for Lincoln, just like all the dialogue just fit. It felt good, and it didn't feel cheesy, really. I mean, there was like a couple moments you're like, but I loved it. I really loved it on the whole. Production and all that was great. Cinematography, lovely. Lovely, lovely. I did want to say, though, this movie was a little bit too dark for me in the fact that there were so many scenes, and you guys tell me in the comments if you agree with this or notice this or anything. There are so many scenes where you're like, I can't see. Like, and I have 20/20 vision, no lie, and I'm like, can we get some more light on this? Like, I get the darkness because, and I thought it was beautiful, the lighting, because it showed how melancholy, how dark, how, deep and thoughtful and all this. Everything was, but, like, certain scenes I was like, dude, light a candle by their face. Like, and then that kind of weakened the actors a little bit, though, because I'm thinking, we can't see all this great stuff that's going on their face if we can't see their face, right? I don't know, so that bothered me a little bit, but, not really anything that would detract me from watching the movie. Editing was great. I felt like there was a couple scenes that could have been shortened, and maybe a couple scenes that could have been cut out. But on the whole, I didn't think it was that draggy. I'm going to get to a little bit of that in just a minute. But before I do that, I want to talk about production design. Oh, I'm not just saying that because Rick Carter, the production designer, won the Oscar. I'm saying that because it was epic, and anytime that you are doing anything historical and all that, it is so hard to get every little thing right, and all that. And I thought it was great. I'm so happy that he got nominated and won and all that. I'm pretty stoked about that. The production design is lovely. Yes, it really was. And take note of that, guys, when you watch the film. I mean, especially the film buffs, the movie geeks are like, oh, I was like, this is so beautiful. I'm going to get back to that in just a minute. I know I got a lot of things, so keep watching because I'm getting to a lot of good things. Alright, real quickly, well, not kind of quickly because this may take just a bit, but music by John Williams. I would be standing ovation right now if I wouldn't go out of frame. I would. First of all, I heard all the soundtrack before I watched any of the movie. Loved it. I was like, oh my gosh. Fan me. John Williams! I love John Williams. Period. But, this is probably in my top 15 scores that I've heard by him. And I know a lot of you guys are probably either one of two things. some of you are like, first of all, no, it's not that good of a score, or, you know, it's not one of his best. The other of you people are probably like, have you lost your mind? John Williams is completely losing his touch, and this was not a good score at all, and the only reason he got nominated for the Oscar was because he always gets nominated, etc. Okay, to all of you, let me just say right now, watching the movie, before I watched the movie, I thought that, like, that all of the people that were thinking like I just mentioned were, like, idiots. I mean, I was like, what the heck are you talking about? This is, like, the, like, hugely great score. How can you say John Williams is losing his touch after you hear this? But, after having watched the movie, I kind of was like, you know, I could see how you could think this if you've only watched the movie, because, y'all, there's, like, not very much music in this film at all. What is used is so soft that it's like, I can't even really hear, you know, it's so downplayed, like, and plus you're just, like, looking at everything that you're not even really thinking music. I mean, so, yeah, I was kind of like, oh, I could understand how people think he's, like, losing his touch or whatever, because the music with the film, there wasn't very much of it. And what there was, it wasn't very noticeable. It wasn't that he didn't make a great score, it's just that, like, Steven is, I thought, you know, I'm pretty sure was, like, focused on, like, hey, the scenes, you know, the music is just kind of extra, and it didn't really add or, you know, take away that hugely much, because I didn't feel like they wanted it to. But it was, no, it was perfect, and it definitely would have been missed if it wasn't there. However, if you hear this score, if you've not heard the score by itself, like, just go to YouTube and hear it. It is so good. So good. It is just, God, so gorgeous. Seriously do. And then I think you will change your mind. And if you don't, that's your opinion. Great. You know, but be fair and go hear it, because, I mean, God, it's so good. Alright, so, I know that's kind of a rant, but, I love John Williams, so. And I did want to say, too, y'all, I don't think John Williams is getting nominated because he's just, you know, he just gets nominated all the time. Have you, like, again, have you heard the score? This is a great score. I mean, he keeps getting nominated because he keeps hitting them out of the park, y'all. And, no, it's no Star Wars or Jurassic Park or any of that, but it's still, it's a lot better. Like, John Williams, not so good, is still better than a lot of people's best. So, for me. Okay, I'm a pretty huge John Williams fan. So, I don't know, that's just kind of how I felt about it. Okay, guys, jumping into the parent's guide on this one. The only thing I think you're going to have to worry about for the little bitties is going to be the language, and not really violence, but, like, I guess you could say, like, the opening sequence is pretty, you know, like, there's people getting drowned, there's, like, it's a battle scene, and people are getting stabbed and stuff, but there's not, like, blood gushing anywhere. It didn't bother me at all, so not really anything to worry about if you hate blood or anything, but, I mean, obviously, I probably wouldn't want my 5-year-old to see that. Language, I've seen so much worse, so, I'm just gonna, you know what, I'm just gonna give it to you, the facts, and you choose. 2 F's, 2 B's, 2 H's, 3 S's, and about 20 D's and GD's. It was about 10 of each. So, yeah, I mean, that wasn't the best, but, you know, it's not the worst, and it was tolerable. So, yeah. Sexual content, basically none. Sally Field wears some lower dresses, but it's nothing really that bad, and I mean, we see her kind of like in her underwear, which is like a slip, but nothing is shown. I mean, like a little cleavage. Violence and gore, I already told you, there's like, you know, some battle scenes, and then there's like this one scene that they pan the dead bodies and kind of that kind of thing, and so if that bothers you, that's probably not going to be the best. Drug or alcohol, oh golly, I can't think of any. Great, I know. I wasn't really looking out for this, y'all, I guess because I just wasn't expecting it, and I was so watching this movie. I was just laughing everything up. So, anyway, okay, kind of trying to somewhat wrap this thing up, guys. I know I keep backtracking, but, like, I have my performances notes, I have my parents' guide notes, and then I have, like, special notes at the end. So I kind of go over those. I know my mind is everywhere. Especially with a film like this, which is just so massive that you're just like, I can't find one place to focus. It's so huge. But anyway, so many of the lines in this were great. Oh, God, Tony Kushner. Like, he's just like Daniel Day-Lewis at the very beginning. His wife, or Seinfeld, is like, oh, my head hurts, or, you know, she's like complaining or something. And he's like, how's your coconut? I'm like, like, how's your head? I was like, oh, that's sweet. And then Tommy Lee had the best lines, y'all. It was so good. Like, he had this one line, and he says it so perfectly. He's like, congratulations on your victory, and get out. And I was like, oh, man, I love you, Tommy Lee Jones. Okay, so, anyway, guys, great dialogue for both of those. I know it's not really wrapping up, but I had to mention it because it's here. Love the transitional scenes. Daniel Day-Lewis' accent was ridiculous. It was great. Again, some of the lighting kind of got to me a little bit because a couple of the scenes were too dark for me, but I thought the overall tone of the film was great. It was just like there was like maybe 4 or 5 scenes in particular where I'm like, I can't see their face. Get some light. Like, the overall tone and the darkness of the overall film didn't bother me. I know it bothered, like, some people because they didn't like no bright colors and stuff like that. But that didn't bother me. It was just, like, the scenes where I couldn't see. And I'm like, okay, guys, there's dark, and then there's, like, I can't see. And I promise I have 20/20 vision, and I couldn't see. But anyway, I mean, I could see, but it's, like, half their face is, like, lighted, and the other half's completely black. Like, can we have a little, you know, something, like, lamp, get a lamp. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there's this one scene, y'all, that I really, really loved. It's where Lincoln comes in to get his little boy, and it's like right at the beginning, and he's falling asleep. He climbs on the little boy, climbs onto Daniel Day-Lewis's back, and they walk out, and like the camera goes, and then it goes down to the slippers that are left on the floor. I love that. So gorgeous. This film is full of moments like that, though, y'all. It's just like, man, I love it. I absolutely love, like, stuff like that. It was just like, God, so gorgeous. Yay, Steven Spielberg! Absolutely, again, made a special note. Camera dances around people, all talking to one person, and we don't know who the person is. Love that. Great idea, whoever that was. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And they did it like 3 or 4 times, and every time I was like, oh, I love this. Like, I don't know. I know I'm rambling, but so good. So good. Oh, my gosh. Okay. To all the people who are still thinking, I don't know how you like Lincoln because, and this is kind of probably less for the movie critic people and more for just like the average fan, though I know there were like a lot of movie critic people that were like, this is the most boring film I've ever seen, but I could see I'd be more boring to like the average fan. I'm fixing to address y'all right now, okay? I didn't think it was boring. Here's why, okay? There was so many things in this film, especially as a movie critic, okay, that I was like, God, this is so good. I mean, the first hour of the movie plus is so, I mean, everything is perfect. It does kind of slow down right around the hour and 30-minute mark. You're like, oh, boy. But even when the times when it got slower and everything, there was so much going on. How could you be bored? Like, okay, you're getting all these beautiful camera angles. You're getting the killer direction from Steven. You're getting the acting, which is off the chart. It's ridiculous. It's amazing. I mean, and you're getting to look at the costumes. You're getting to look at the production, the lighting. I mean, the sound, the music. You know, there's so many beautiful things going on in this movie. Like, how could you be bored? Again, especially as a movie critic. Now, if you're just a fan and you just showed up to watch the movie, I could kind of maybe understand how you could get bored. I didn't even get bored as a fan. I mean, there was a couple minutes where I was like, you're kind of losing me, but then it gets you back. So, I don't know. Even as a fan, this one's definitely worth a watch. But as a movie critic, guys, it's like, man, this is so beautiful. I don't know. Of course, Spielberg is one of a kind, but, you know, there's so few movies to me, or at least, I guess now that I'm, like, more aware, I'm, like, studying film more now, or at least that I can recall, you know, and all that, that are just beautiful to watch. You know, technically, forget like the story, forget all of that, you know, forget like for the general populace. I'm talking about, oh my gosh, look how good the room looks. It's so beautiful. Listen to how that score comes in at exactly the right moment. Look, can you believe what's going on in Daniel Day-Lewis's face? And why did he pause there? And why is Tommy Lee, you know, just sitting there? And, you know, like all this kind of stuff. You know, and, I mean, cinematography. Why did they not like that more? You know, why did the camera shift this way? And, God, look how beautiful it is. And look how, I mean, there's so many beautiful things to look at that you're just like, oh, God, so, So, anyway, guys, I know this has probably been super, super duper long, but there were so many things I needed to address. So I'm going to try to address them, hopefully. I'm giving this movie, technically, only, probably like almost 5 stars out of 5, like 4.5 out of 5. Technically, what could have been better? I don't know. Maybe just as a fan, you know, could have been, like, again, I said it did get a little long. I'll admit it, you know. And it's not, again, there's not like scenes where you're like, oh, you need to cut that so freaking bad, you know. But it's just like it does kind of go on. But hey, grow an attention span. That's why I was like, Margie, grow an attention span. Seriously, like, I was so disgusted with myself. But anyway, so for that, 3.5 out of 5 stars. But for everything else, like 4.75 stars critically. It's like almost perfect, literally. Would I watch it again? Yes, I would. I would, but it'll be a while for this one, and I probably wouldn't watch the whole thing. I know. I'd probably just watch those beautiful, beautiful scenes that I mentioned, Tommy Lee Jones, you know, little pop-ups from people here and there that I love, and then, you know, get like Daniel Day-Lewis's best scenes. No. Oh gosh, okay. Anyway, guys, it's kind of been all over the place, yada yada yada. It's Lincoln. Cut me a little slack that this one is really long because the movie is really long, and I've had such a hard time processing everything and talking about everything because I was literally sitting there through the film like, oh, beauty. So, anyway, alright guys, this has been my extremely long, I have no idea how long this review is, but it's probably going to be ridiculously long. And I'm sure before you clicked on it, you're like, wow, that is a doozy. But if you have reached the end and not fast-forwarded or through anything or whatever, thank you so much. Congratulations, you have lived through the review. I know, it seems like more and like my reviews just keep getting longer, and I'm sorry, like, for those of you who are like, I just want a little clip, well, you know, fast forward, I guess, or whatever, because I gotta say what I gotta say. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this review of the 2012 film, Lincoln. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.